I mean, come on, we should have never doubted NASCAR. We thought it couldn't get worse than last year, and they found a way. NASCAR has already come out and said that this format will not be returning next year, which, great. But it's already been 11 years of this, and the championship is completely diluted, and it's done way more harm than good. And with everything that's happened this weekend, we're going to pop some champagne and dance on this thing's grave. Today, we're going to look back at some of the worst championship outcomes that this format has produced. Yeah, you guys are actually getting a top 6 and not top 5, because this one was just too bad to throw into honorable mentions. But 2018 was the year of the big 3. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. absolutely obliterated the competition for most of the year due to a lot of the older drivers retiring and their replacements still being inexperienced and lackluster. The big 3 won 17 of the 26 regular season races, and going into the playoffs, it looked like nothing was stopping them. Usher in Joey Logano. The big 3 made it into the round of 8 without any trouble, but luckily for us fans who were tired of the domination, Joey Logano was here to save us. He took care of business in turn 3, and Martin Truex Jr. did not win on this day.
They won the battle, but he didn't win the damn war.
Luckily, to keep some semblance of legitimacy in this sport, all members of the big 3 were able to make it into the finals. There, just as it should be. The big 3 and one extra guy who was just happy to be there, right? Haha, that would be funny, but this is NASCAR. Joey Logano went in there and won the war, meaning 3 drivers who had dominated the season and combined for a total of 20 wins on the season. Not one of them was crowned champion. Looks like a good playoff system to me. I'm going to preface this by saying Chase Elliott had a good season. Was it a championship season? Maybe in some years, but not in a year where there were simply a class above all else. Much like 2018, there were 2 runaway drivers who needed to win this title, either Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin. They absolutely dominated the post-COVID stretch together, winning 12 of the 26 regular season races. Harvick was particularly dominant and ran away with the regular season title, and would continue his dominance into the first round of the playoffs. In the second round, Denny Hamlin won the absolute mess that was that year's Talladega race, and both looked like easy locks for the title, let alone making the championship 4. But in the round of 8, Kevin Harvick would finish second at Kansas after getting air blocked by the King of Blocks, and would crash at Texas after NASCAR restarted the race in wet conditions. This left Martinsville, where Harvick would easily be in as long as nobody below him won. But this is NASCAR. Everyone's favorite driver, Chase Elliott, won, and that left Harvick to resort to embarrassing himself on the final lap because he needed 1 more point. So the driver with 9 wins and who would have locked up the championship at Texas under any normal points format was not going to be in the finals this year. Okay, fine. We still have Denny Hamlin. Surely he can take care of business. Never mind. Everyone's favorite driver, Chase Elliott, won the championship, and everyone lived happily ever after. So neither one of the drivers who combined for 16 wins on the year ended up as champion. That's pretty bad. So far we've talked a lot about who's gotten robbed. So now let's shift gears and talk about somebody who just fluked their way to the championship. There's just something about even number years with this guy. No matter how painfully mediocre he is throughout the year, there is nothing stopping Joey Logano from weaseling his way into the championship 4. Halfway through the 2024 season, Joey Logano was sitting 16th in points, borderlining on a playoff spot entirely. There's a good chance he misses the playoffs if it's not for
Denny Hamlin coming. Oh, what a slide by Austin Cindric. That brings the caution out. There'll be a restart.
From there, who even knows how this happens? After 5 overtimes, Joey Logano has enough fuel in that tank of his to win one of the stupidest races in NASCAR history. To open the playoffs, Joey Logano wins at Atlanta. Surely this wasn't happening, right? In the round of 12, though, luck was not on his side, and he was rightfully eliminated based on the season he had been having. Until it was announced that Alex Bowman got disqualified at the Roval, so Joey Logano was in the round of 8. So from the help of his teammate, Joey Logano was able to stay out longer than everyone else, take the lead with like 2 to go, and hold off a hard-charging Christopher Bell. Joey Logano would be racing in the championship four with 2 extra weeks to prepare. We all know how this ends. No matter how good the other guys had been all year, Logano's going to get this. And he did. The Winston Points winner didn't even make it into the final after, again, embarrassing himself at Martinsville. As for Logano, 11th in points. Before the finale, he was in 13th. But that's just sports! Anyway, we've talked a lot about the Cup Series. Let's jump down into the lower series for a little bit. Now here's a guy who didn't win a single race all year, but is crowned champion because this format is nuts. He entered the playoffs seeded 6th, having a pretty mediocre season for his standards, but he was able to sneak all the way into the championship four. He wasn't exactly seen as a threat heading into this race, seeing as the other drivers like Brett Moffitt, Ross Chastain, and Stuart Friesen were seen as much tougher competition given the seasons they've all had. They lead him in almost every statistical category. But let's look at laps led specifically. These 3 had a lot of laps led on the year. Now let's look at Crafton. 35 laps. There's no way, right? He did it. He had to do some battling throughout the night, but ultimately this title came down to who finished the highest in the final race. Nothing flashy. He won the title because NASCAR invites this. Crafton actually did what Ryan Newman almost did in the first year of this. So Brett Moffitt, Chastain, Friesen, even a guy like Grant Enfinger, who also went winless but had a much better season and won the regular season championship, lost to a winless guy who had average stats in a format that rewards winning above all else. Welcome to NASCAR. I do sincerely apologize to those of you who are still recovering from this. In this generational prodigy's rookie season, he won 10 races, at one point winning 7 of 8 races in a row. Connor Zilisch is an absolute beast and deserved every bit of the 2025 Xfinity Series championship. But as Phoenix approached, the air was unsettling to say the least. We knew coming into this weekend that there was going to be a possibility that 2 of the most dominant seasons in series history could be unraveled due to this format. Almost every fan, and likely even NASCAR, were praying that Corey Heim and Connor Zilisch were able to win. And on Friday, the NASCAR world stood still as a caution came out with 2 to go, and Heim lost all his track position by taking 4 tires. The good thing about taking 4 tires is it allowed him to charge up there like he was Batman and reclaim his title. And because of this, NASCAR got spared from one of the biggest disasters this format could have ever produced. They weren't so lucky the next day, though. It all comes down to one race. That dominant season means nothing. Zilisch finished 3rd, and that was not enough. Someone on Twitter said it best. It's not Game 7, it's a recess is ending, so next goal wins type of championship. It's nonsense. And this isn't Jesse Love's fault. This is NASCAR's. Before we get to number 1, though, let's look back at some honorable mentions. Another Corey Heim-related championship disaster came in 2023, where he and Carson Hocevar were having excellent seasons, and at the end of the Phoenix race, it looked like one of them was rightfully going to end up with the title.
That'd be really stupid.
That is, until Hocevar sent it into turn 1 with no regard for human life and took out Heim. Heim tried to drive back up to the front and win the title, but in the closing laps it became apparently he was not going to win, so he backed up to Hocevar to thank him for creating this disaster.
Oh, there it is!
Needless to say, neither driver won that night. Instead, Ben Rhodes, who had been pretty average all year, cruised to a championship. Tyler Reddick won 2 races in 2018, the first one and the last one. He was not the best driver that year. There were a lot that were better than him, actually. Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier, Daniel Hemrick, Cole Custer, and the ever-consistent Elliott Sadler were also putting up much better numbers than he was. But what Reddick was about to teach us is that he is a guy that loves Homestead Miami Speedway. And truly, the one thing he needed to do was get there and play spoiler. We can't complain too much, though, because the winless Daniel Hemrick would have technically won under a non-playoff points format. I don't even need to explain this one, this was heartbreaking. There's a lot of other ones we can go over too, but I don't have time. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, The worst champion crowned under this horrible format goes to... Where do I even begin? In the second ever season of using this playoff format, a driver who missed the first 11 races of the season won the championship. Kyle Busch broke his leg at Daytona in the Xfinity Series and missed almost half of the regular season races. This is when NASCAR stepped in and granted him one of those fancy playoff waivers that allows a driver to be eligible for the playoffs despite missing time. When Kyle Busch got back into the car, it looked like he was in for a rough year. But that changed in just his 5th race of the season, where he would absolutely come out of nowhere and win Sonoma, blowing everybody's mind and showing everyone who's boss. He wasn't done there though. He went on to win 3 of the next 4 races following Sonoma, and he was truly looking like a real championship threat, despite being injured just months before. With his continued stretch of good runs up to the playoffs, he would manage to get into the top 30 on points, putting him into the playoffs for sure. The crazy thing about these playoffs in particular, though, was that there was hardly any reset. This was before playoff points. Kyle Busch narrowly dodged bullets, making his way into the round of 8, where he would put together a string of top 5s that were just good enough to secure him a spot in the Final Four. His competition, Kevin Harvick, who was having the best statistical season of his career up to that point, and runaway Winston Points champion. The other 2 were retiring Jeff Gordon, who had not been very good all year, and Martin Truex Jr., who had kind of just stumbled into this. Not to mention Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski, who all had a lot of wins but were busy fighting each other. But as it turns out, the driver who missed nearly a third of the season would end up winning the whole thing. If Kyle Busch never got injured, it would probably have been one of his best seasons. And by all means, take the title. But this was just ridiculous. It's a great comeback story, but let it just be that. Don't slap a championship bow on it, bro. He would have finished 20th in points in any normal format. This doesn't take away from Kyle Busch's 2-time champion badge though, because realistically, if you just swap Joey Logano's 2018 title and Busch's 2015 title, it evens out okay. Overall, this format had to go. Why it stayed around as long as it did, I have no idea. And I can sit here and preach about the ways this format has done so much harm and how to fix it, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the death of the playoffs. Let's dance on its grave one final time. We never have to complain about this again.